Okay, you guys might have a little okay thing you have to hit in the middle of your screen. So, all right, here we go, you guys. We're gonna start the show.
All right. So as mentioned before, I never skipped leg day, but I might have missed an ab workout at some point. So that's doing a sit-up at 16,500 feet with an 80-pound pack. I don't recommend it more than once.
I love whoever took that video. They're chuckling in the background. You couldn't really hear it, but she's just like,
yeah. They were laughing at me when I laid down. They're like, how are you going to get up? I'm like, that's a problem for 5 minutes from now. Like, I'd need to off my feet.
So, so you guys know, their GoPros were not synced, and I got slides out of date order. And also what's kind of weird is, I had pictures from, Nick, and then, Tami, who was I think second on the rope. And so the same timestamp, I'm getting, that 60-meter rope, I'm getting different spots. So it was kind of hard to put them in order. Bear with me. You might be at camp 4 and then back at camp 1 a second later. So we're gonna talk about preparing. I love that picture. That's a great picture. And to me, that's kind of this is a logistical nightmare for me. I really want to hear, I'd love to hear what you guys went through prepping. And there'll be some questions in here, but someone asked, talk about the prep. How much food did you prepare? What was the worst part of the prep?
Cutting the vegetables.
Just tons of chopping.
I spent a little over 4 hours cutting vegetables and putting them into Ziploc bags for the guys, or for the team.
It really amazed me how much real food you guys had. Bagels.
Yeah, the one Tami and I were in charge of food. That was like the responsibility we were given. And it was a lot. I mean, we were, planning everything out, and it was like winging it. But thank God for April and Imbach, because you guys were chopping and pre-cooking everything. And, we had heard time and time again that a Denali expedition is as good as team morale, and real food helped us a lot. So it was heavier, but we ate very well. So the prep was worth it, I think.
Yeah. Did it all hold up? I mean, cold enough? Bagels, no. Did you have to thaw them out? No. What did you do?
Like it was pretty variable, because it would get warm and even hot during the day. So like the bags of vegetables probably like frozen thawed 20 times. And it ended up being sort of like vegetable stew in there. And then all the meal plans kind of went out the door as well, because it was just sort of like look around the tent and see what's there. And Tami, if you're on the line, thank you. Because Tami cooked almost every day and just threw together like amazing piles of calories that tasted unbelievably good. So,
and to answer Frank's question in the chat, like the caloric daily intake, like we tried to do the math on that before we left, and it kind of just became like too much work. So we went grocery shopping. We just got as much dense stuff as we could. And I think on the mountain, I mean, Tami was kind of the pioneer on cooking, and we just were like, oh, big day tomorrow. Let's throw in a lot of carbs and protein. And but I wouldn't say we were very good about mathematically calculating all the caloric goals.
Frank is the master of backpacking with tons of food. He is. It's amazing to watch. Okay, so I think this came from Trixie. What is the one luxury item they wish they would have brought with them? Was there something they consider worth the carry weight now?
Oh, luxury item.
Mine would have been like beer, like lots of beer.
Right.
A whole sled.
I think I thought I brought luxury items, and then all of them froze and stopped working. Kindle, like Kindle. Nick, yours worked, didn't it?
Yeah, my Kindle worked fine.
Mine froze at 11,000 feet and stopped.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a little Hyperlight pod that's like a stuff sack, but then the inside of it is fuzzy, so you flip it inside out and it becomes this really comfortable pillow if you just put all your dirty socks in it. So that was pretty amazing, and it was like a half an ounce, so that was definitely worth the wait. Camp booties got used a ton. They are like, I'll call those a necessity, not a luxury for that trip. Yeah.
I
I
don't know who's
bought
making.
a whole pack of Oreos, and I don't regret it.
Worth
But
it.
I also didn't eat all of them because at one point they just seemed nasty. Like I didn't.
I'm trying to scroll my participants right now to mute Heather. All right, Heather, you're muted. Okay, so
Oh, and I realized one more, the eye mask, the fluffy eye mask was gold.
keep them warm, or just because the sun never goes down.
The sun never goes down. And I think
yeah.
as the team learned, if it's dark, I'll sleep till 3. So
So they came in and took the mask at go time.
yeah.
Ashley, I have your question in here, so that'll get answered in 2 seconds. I did not know that you were gonna have a Fred Meyer. I was picturing like you guys go into just a local store. I didn't know how big the town was. So everything was pretty readily available. Did you have to go to other stores? Did you get your fuel at Fred Meyer? Were they kind of geared for backpacking?
So we didn't get our fuel at Fred Meyer. Fuel is sold by the air service, and you actually pick it up when you get on to the mountain.
Okay.
You go to the camp host there, and you give them your little ticket, and they give you 5 cans of fuel.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
But food, yeah, Anchorage is a city of, I don't know, 300,000. It's got everything that you would need. The REI in Anchorage is probably the best provisioned one that any of us had ever seen. And then there was a really rad little store called AMH. It was at Anchorage or Alaska, Mountaineering and Hardware. And somehow in like this little 800 square foot store, they had like technical climbing and mountaineering equipment. They had river rafting equipment. They had skiing equipment. It was the most densely packed store I've ever seen. They had everything, and they sold all of us a lot of stuff.
Wow.
So,
I think Kyle asked this question. How does food and water work? Eat it. I know. I'm wondering about calculating how much to transport.
Food was definitely one of those things. Like I said, like Tami and I were sitting at my kitchen table in Portland before she left a month early. And we were like, we have no idea what we're doing. We kind of meal planned, like Nick said. But when we got to Anchorage, our plan was basically like pre-cook as much stuff as possible, so it is less likely to go bad. And we just probably bought out the Fred Meyer of Ziploc bags, and we kind of, I would say there was no process or expert way to do it. It was totally random. But when we kind of divided everything, real food's heavy. And I think we all learned very quickly. And we basically made 4 trash bags that were even, and we all begrudgingly carried one on each of our sleds.
It was like 4 80-pound trash bags. It was bonkers.
Wow. I mean, you're planning for a month almost, right? So
yeah.
So what was it like trying to get all that gear to Alaska? Did any of you have to pay extra baggage fees? Nick, did you not have to pay extra baggage fees for real?
I did. We paid 1 bag, managed to get, because April and I both flew up. So we got like 2 or 3 bags each, because I fly Alaska Airlines a bunch. But then, I think I paid overweight on 1 bag, and then 1 on the way home as well.
We got lucky too at the airport, because mine was just at 50. But Tami is, because she went a month early. I know she's driving right now, so I hope she doesn't mind me telling this story. But we got to the airport. I took her to the airport, and one of her bags was over by like 6 pounds, and the lady at the counter was just not having it. And so we like took everything out, and we were kind of freaking out on how to bring it because it was all essential gear. And she was like, okay, take it to overweight baggage. And we kind of just rounded the corner and just shoved it all back in and gave it, because you have so much stuff, but you need it all.
Yeah. It's like, this cannot not go. From the chat, Brussels sprouts. Alex, I agree. Brussels sprouts sprouts would have that would have been replaced with like gummy bears for me.
So at everything, we had bacon, and
I'm down.
Somewhere in like the first week, Tami cooked up a whole slab of bacon and was like looking for somewhere to dump the bacon grease. And I said, no. And I took my Tupperware and was like, pour that in here, and we're going to use this, and we're going to cook everything in bacon grease for like the next 14 days. And everyone looked at me like, you're crazy. I'm like, Dad, just believe me, go with it. And it was phenomenal. Like Brussels sprouts and bacon and Spam and bacon, and it like everything got cooked in bacon grease for 2 weeks.
And then someone asked, when did the reality hit that this was really happening? Wasn't the final day like March 15th? Something like that? When you had to like non-refundable, I feel like it was like March or
Yeah,
April.
but I think even then we were all at base. I mean, at least me, like I got to base camp and it was when the plane left. And I was like, oh shit.
Like,
It's
oh,
happening.
we're
We're
doing
like
this.
alone.
Yeah, for me, I wanted to go so bad. My dog ate my 4-season and my sleeping bag, and it all came kind of like the day after I said I can't go. It all came like Feathered Friends was like, you can get a new bag. I'm like, oh my God. I'm actually glad I didn't go. There was a couple times when I was the only person here in this office because of COVID. So I would have come back and been bankrupt. My business would have been gone. So glad I didn't go, but I'm so jealous, you guys.
Next year.
Awesome. Yeah, next year. Any major logistical challenges? Was like your worst one? I'm sure you have plenty.
Do we have any logistical? I feel
Like,
like, I mean, thank
prior
God
to
for
the trip
Mike
or
and
on the
Rocky in
mountain?
April.
I mean, I think like any pre-trip logistical stuff, we were able to get what we needed in Anchorage, and there was a lot of logistical work, and there was a lot of just last minute like stuff. And then because it didn't ever get dark, we were up until like 2 o'clock in the morning at the Airbnb in Anchorage, just like sorting and packing gear and like counting gummy bears and doing whatever. And yeah, I don't know. It was, I feel like we unpacked and repacked and organized and sorted our gear like 35 times in 2 days.
Wow.
So,
Josh, that question's coming, so it'll get answered. I
I think
promise.
the food, I mean, honestly, like I'll say it again and again. I think food and snacks and figuring out what each of us needed for group and individual. For me, at least, like that was something that was overwhelming to me until the day we got there. Because it's just everyone's different, and plus at altitude you lose your appetite, which is like you never know how your body's going to react. So figuring out food, I think for me was maybe our main logistical challenge. It didn't go wrong. We did it very well, but it was hard.
Okay. I think there's some.
I think also a different challenge we had was trying to meet up before Denali, and then we had the hood prep weekend, but the weather really turned on us, and we weren't able to do like some of the stuff we wanted to do, but we were able to set up a tent and all of that. But I think that was a challenge too, is trying to get everyone together, because I mean I live in Jackson, so it was a little hard.
I can't imagine trying to like train together or whatever.
yeah, that's a great point, Tami. The first time that all 4 of us were in the same place was in Alaska. Like we never actually had a proper training climb until the real thing.
We tried.
We scheduled about 12 of them, and 0 of all happened. So
I was like, I'm already somewhere. It's like, oh, but it would have been cool to meet you all in person. Alex asked, how long is it was from the initial let's do this to actually flying out? About a year?
Yeah, I don't remember when I initially put out the post. It was like, hey, I'm gonna go do Denali next spring. Serious experienced mountaineers only, who's in. But I feel like that was like last August or September.
It was over the summer because you and I were climbing together with the Climb for Clean Air crew, and you kind of mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
And that was, I know there was like kind of some initial ideas floating from previous summer, but yeah, probably about a year.
And I mean, to me, it's so funny. Have you seen the meme where it's like, who wants to do Denali? And there's like 8 million people with their hands up. I mean, I don't know how many people you started with, but you barely made it out before.
Yeah.
There's gonna be multiple rope teams, and like all of a sudden there's 4. It's like, ow.
Yep. I mean, I think I had individual conversations with probably 15 to 18 different people who had expressed varying levels of interest, and then ended up with about 10 who were kind of serious. And then, 4 people going up the mountain. And it was a lot of reasons of like, hey, this isn't going to work for me, or I've got a thing, or I have a new girlfriend, or I just bought a house, or my family has stuff, or like it's all very real stuff. And it's a huge, huge commitment.
Yeah.
And for
Well, and
people
we
to,
didn't
you
get
know,
Tami until March-ish. Yeah.
yeah.
I told all my friends the only reason why I was invited is because I could actually get a month off, and then I couldn't get a month off. It's like, damn it. So okay, I'm gonna move on. I think we're going to a new section here. I can't remember. Oh no,
Okay.
it just got stuck. It just got stuck on a food picture for some reason.
Oh God, we had to break into our own Airbnb.
Hold on, you want to see from the, here we go.
I would say I broke into the Airbnb and April
well,
just
you know,
did
it's a
because she left
team.
the window open.
April left the window open for you, and someone else locked the front door, and a team full of climbers got it done. So
This was our practice.
that was, yeah. And I was gonna like set up a 3-to-1 system over the roof and
What I
like hoist
like about
somebody up.
that
And
whole thing is Kane,
What, Mike?
Kane sent me a text the next day. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you guys were locked out. Did you get in?
So what day was this? Were you guys getting ready to go to the airport, or what day was this?
This was, I think, this was like the day before we left. And
Okay.
we were going out and running errands and going shopping, and we came back and the Airbnb happened to be, we accidentally locked the door and it jammed. And so we had to do some brainstorming and basically like climbed on the roof of our rental car and jumped on the roof of the house.
Totally in the rental agreement. Okay, so I kind of want to address some questions to April. What was it like in the plane and then leaving them behind?
It was, that's when everything started to get real for me, knowing that, excuse me, just knowing that in a few short moments that I would just be leaving my husband for a month. And that was provided everything went well and according to plan on the mountain.
Yep.
And then, yeah, then when we landed at base camp, it hit me even harder, and I didn't want to say goodbye, but I understood what was happening because, you know, I climb mountains also. And I also knew that this was a dream that Nick has been wanting for 3 years now. And it was my duty or job or whatever you want to call it, to support him in that, in his endeavor. And that's just kind of everything that was going through my mind, aside from the beauty of landing on the glacier, being in the plane, looking at the mountain range. It was just nothing like I've ever experienced before. But leaving him was hard, and leaving the team was hard.
Somebody's coughing like crazy.
Yeah, but knowing what I was coming back home to do, to be communication support and anything that they needed, also was foremost on my mind and what I started to set focus on doing.
And it seemed like you did a lot of running to stay busy. Maggie, this is Maggie's question. Were you lonely? How did you cope? Did you stare at the GPX? Were you scared? I stared at that arrow so much. Like, it's not moving. Why is it not?
Well, I did stare at the arrow quite a bit. You know, looking at elevation, you know, I communicated almost daily with Nick. I am very busy. I did continue with as much as what I could. I do a lot of running. I am heavily involved with search and rescue, along with Nick. And so I still had my training and rescue missions to attend. So I did that. But all the while I was glued to my phone. I don't think I've ever been on Facebook as much in my life as what I was the entire month he was gone. Facebook and text, because I just wanted everybody out there in Facebook land, family, friends, to know what was going on and to know that their loved one and their friend was okay.
And I want to, Frank just said it in the chat, you know, I love the sharing of the trip. I checked it a bunch, but I think, I mean, I don't really know how many hundreds of people saw what was going on. We're all very proud of you guys. I mean, it's like, holy crap, you know, someone I know did this, you know, and then also, I mean, you know, this is a modern trip and you guys got some of the best. I mean, your footage and your pictures, you should try and sell that somehow. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, some of your footage is like, holy crap.
And huge
So
shout to Mike and Imbach and April for running that
Yeah,
Facebook group.
yeah.
I think it, at least my family, I'm sure Tami and Geoff's family too, that was like their lifeline to us. So it definitely, that was a huge advantage to have it, to communicate with kind of everyone back home.
It was not, Sydney, you mentioned that like you would text people on your inReach and like text your mom and she would be like, yeah, I know. I checked the Facebook group already.
That's funny.
Well, I will say that I got the bright idea to push the team's endeavors out on my Facebook page, excuse me, which in turn goes out to, you know, Nick's family, Nick's friends, my family, my friends, and then it explodes from there. Yep. Which is why you probably have the explosion of
Yeah, I'd like to touch on that a little bit too. Yeah, I'd like to touch a little bit on the flight. So as a logistics guy, I made all the arrangements for you know, the transportation up there, the Airbnb, rental car, and then the K2 flight, which was pretty good flight. So I had one of the adventure flights, and they landed on the Ruth Glacier. Well, initially, what was going on was the team was going to be departing, and of course, landing at the Kahiltna. And I asked my wife if she wanted to go, and I told her straight up. I said, if you go, you're going to be counted as a seventh person, which means we're all splitting the cost 7 ways. You're not going as my wife, but you're going to go up and help out with the logistics. So she accepted that. She gladly accepted that. She was real pleased to do that. And I said, hey, I'll tell you what, well, after they take off for the Kahiltna Glacier, you know, for base camp, you and I will go ahead and we'll jump in and grab a flight with K2. We'll do the big tour and land at the glacier, which you land at the Ruth Glacier as a tourist on those flights. They don't let you go where the climbers are. And one of the great things, you know, I was working a little bit behind the scenes saying, hey, you know, I was supposed to be going on this as a climber, but I had some medical issues come up, and I became the logistician for the group, and the one, everything that they needed. And also April, she plans on going up there as well. The lead climber's wife said, is there any possible way that we could go to base camp with the team? And, you know, with K2, that's out of the ordinary. They don't do that. So we were really all on pins and needles. We were all we're hoping a prayer, you know, we know they're going to try to pull some strings if they can, but, you know, they have their own rules and regs to follow. You know, the weight and balance issue was big, and then carrying hazmat on the plane because they're carrying fuel with them, and also there's certain restrictions that they have to follow. And we're all waiting in the lobby. And well, I got in touch with April. I said, hey, Imbach and I are going to do a grand tour of the Alaska range at 1 o'clock. That's the 1 p.m. flight that we set up. You want to go? Yeah, sure. I'd love to go. And this is after, you know, Nick and the team would take off. And meanwhile, I'm still trying to get us to land on Kahiltna instead of the Ruth, which is out of the ordinary. And then Chris, our pilot, shows up in the lobby and goes, hey, you guys ready to go? And I know Nick and I looked, my first question was everybody or just the team? Because everybody can go. It's like we're all going, so we knew right away. Yay! It's like this is freaking awesome, man. We're all going to land at the base camp, and I was so happy. I think I saw April starting to cry because she gets to actually go to base camp with her husband and see him off. I mean, that just really warmed my heart. But here's the cherry on top of this whole thing is April, my wife and I, we paid like $400-$500 extra to do this grand tour, and land at the Ruth Glacier. Well, Chris, our pilot, he goes, by the way, I just want to let you guys know we're going to do the grand tour first before we land at the glacier. And I think Sydney, you probably jumped about 50 inches off the ground. I think when
The
you heard
look
that.
on your face, Sydney,
It was just
priceless.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were just totally blown away. I
Yeah.
mean, this is above and beyond. I mean,
Why?
so we all, as a whole team, I mean, the logistics folks, April, my wife, myself, we went as an entire team to base camp. And Chris, he was in no rush to get back. He had one more flight that evening. And it was just awesome to see the team off. It was amazing. And I'm real pleased with K2. I think we did real good when we chose them.
Yep.
And I would definitely choose them again. And anybody watching that's deciding to go, highly recommend them. Great folks. So.
I would also, Mike, I think the fact that we don't have a good answer for what were our logistical challenges is largely in part due to your efforts and April's efforts, because if the four of us, the climbing team, had to do all of the stuff that you guys also did, this thing would have been twice as hard.
Yep.
So thank you.
And Mike,
Absolutely. Yeah. Real pleasure. And we'll kind of give you some logistical challenges behind the scenes. So, my wife asks me one day, she goes, who is OHC MST? They keep posting stuff. It's like, oh, that's me. It's like, that's you? I said, yeah, that's me. I said, Nick gave me admin rights on there to post stuff, and
Yeah.
And gave them to April, but April had some technical difficulties.
So that was
so I'm getting, you couldn't post anything on there at all, but you were able to share and cut and paste and then put to your page. And I was able to get stuff from you to put on the OHC page. So logistically speaking, I think April and I spent more time at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Have you heard anything from them? No, not yet. I said, but don't worry, it's okay. I said, everything's good. Let me check the inReach. Okay, battery's low. It looks like Nick's phone is probably dying. Next thing I know, I'm in communication with Geoff. So I'm like, Geoff, what's going on, And then they have the two-way radio going, which, by the way, a big plus on carrying the radios. That really came in handy because we had no clue where you were. It's like, okay, what's taking here? April's on a plane flying back to see her dad's birthday, It's like, no, but I'm up at 4 or 5 in the morning watching and waiting. And then it dawned on me. It's like, hey, some of these folks may not actually understand what you're doing. I was like, hey, why don't I go out into my garage, grab my rope and stuff and try to explain it a little bit, the safety behind it and the precarious situation that you guys were in.
Yeah.
I figured from a climber's perspective, that would really help them out quite a bit, because all they're looking at is a dot on a monodimensional map. Like, how come they're not moving? It's like, okay,
they're messing with ropes.
Let's put you in that place, and then you tell me why they're not moving.
Trying to
Probably
clip a
the answer to
carabiner
that half
with
the
every
time.
10 feet.
Yeah, Sydney was sleeping was probably the answer half the time we weren't moving.
So really quick, I'm adding Tami. She's out of her car, so she'll pop up on the screen here.
Woo! I'm
Awesome.
on video now.
Oh, there she
Hi,
is.
Tammy.
There she is.
Made it.
And then the other thing I wanted to say, Mike, is I was trying to fast forward back to the slide and just made a mess, but I did get to the point where you were in the cockpit. You know, you got a ride up front, which is pretty cool. You got a ride shotgun. So I have two quick questions. Were the permits hard to get?
No,
And then Melody, that's the question for later. It'll get asked, I promise. Sleds, yay. Does have
No.
any comments?
sleds, no. Sleds, not yay.
No.
So we had this
No.
really cool question. Did you rent them? I want in-depth geeky levels of details
yeah.
regarding them. I hope I can be satisfied, but I think the whole point is sleds, yay.
Yeah, no, we would have been satisfied by kicking the sleds into a crevasse.
I
These
almost did.
pictures here, these are this is the easy way to do stuff with a sled is you throw it on your backpack and walk along. Dragging the sleds uphill was, okay, actually, Adam, can you pause on this picture? Oh, go back one. This sort of,
I'm trying.
yeah, there you go.
I don't know if it'll
So-
stay there.
It's actually it's not really a complicated setup. You basically stuff as much into this giant 140-liter duffel bag as you can. Try to keep the weight low, put it on the sled, run your rope back and forth over it about 38 times, and then clip it onto your backpack with a sling or a 8-foot piece of rope or whatever. And we saw a lot of different ways to do this. Apparently all of them are wrong. And basically going uphill, it's just like it's just a continuous heavy load pulling you the wrong direction. Going on the flat, it's like having an aggressive 8-year-old tugging on your backpack every 2 steps or half a step.
Yank.
And going downhill is a goddamn nightmare. Downhill with a loaded sled was like one of the worst things that I think physically we had to deal with on the mountains. It was really, really bad. There's one picture in the slide deck that kind of shows it.
Going downhill
Alex,
was-
quick
yeah.
question from Alex here. Did we train with sleds prior to being on the mountain? I skied to the D-Ride Observatory with a sled twice, but I used one that had rigid poles, so I could just like mob down a hill with it. We never really did rope team sled training. Yeah, this is Squirrel Hill right here, which is much steeper than the picture looks, and it's a freaking pain. This is like as steep as going from, you know, Palmer up to Devil's Kitchen or anything
With a
on
sled.
Rainier.
With 100 and how many pounds? 150?
I'd say probably at this point our packs were in the 50 to 60 pound range, and there was probably another 50 or 60 pounds on the sled.
Wow.
The thing with the sleds too, though, is like, even if you train with them around here, I think, yes, you would get used to the weight. The most significant difficulty with those sleds, I think a lot of the time was when the terrain was uneven and when you're on a rope team and the sled is actually going downhill and you're pulling it from the side. We dealt with that on a couple occasions. Squirrel Hill and Windy Corner are two that stick out to me most significantly, but it's unless you can find a really long and like parallel slope and have 100 pounds pulling you downhill while trying to stay uphill.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst for me. I mean, we tweaked our backs in ways that I'm gonna need to go to a chiropractor.
So there was not rigid poles, so you'd have to like hold the person's sled in front of you from running them over, or what the heck?
The
did you have?
variety of sleds on the mountain is so broad. Everyone comes with their own kind of setup. I would say we saw maybe a couple people with rigid poles. The majority, I would say, with us is like we rented the sleds from K2 and we brought a bunch of cordelette, like a 5mm cordelette, and you basically just rig that thing up, and like Nick said, you kind of weave it through the straps on your bag, and you hope it doesn't snap.
Wow. Okay, so this is not a real picture from this expedition. Actually, that's Nick, I think. No. Well, let's just go. Well, let's talk about crevasses.
Oh.
Oh, that was a scary day.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this was the crevasse that showed up underneath our kitchen tent at Camp 1. We had probed out our campsite, and And in retrospect, I sort of identified like, there's about a meter and a half down, some like opening or whatever underneath. And then we went, okay, that's fine. We'll camp here. Forgot about it. And the next day we set up our cook tent. We dug out trenches. We did the thing. And at some point later in that day, I stood up inside the cook tent and my left leg just went boop down. And I was like, I fell to my, like, basically the depth of my leg, and was just kind of like there with one leg in a hole going, oh, help someone pull me out of this. And I pop out of it, and there's a boot size punch through, and there's this crevasse that was probably 5 feet wide, and it wasn't particularly deep, at least what we could see, but there's no real way to know if like the bottom, what looks like the bottom is actually that, or if it's another false snow bridge. So we went, okay, like the plan right now is just nobody go in that corner, and then we'll move the kitchen tent. And then by the end of the day, we were like, okay, we don't want to move the kitchen tent, so just nobody go in that corner. And also don't drop anything. Like we almost dropped stuff in that spot several times. It'd be like the lid to a pot or something, or a lighter would try to run into that hole. Or I think that was the closest encounter we really had with a crevasse. On the upper mountain, things were still pretty covered up and pretty safe and solid. 14 camp tends to have a really solid area for a large radius around camp. And the sites where they put those are fairly protected from crevasses. But yeah, this was after we broke down our kitchen tent, and there's just this hole into the middle of the earth on the lower Hilton Glacier. So
there was a time where Geoff stopped for a long, was that Geoff? Or yeah, I think Geoff stopped for a long time. And you know, on the Garmin, we're seeing an overlay and a big nasty looking like Bergström thing. I think it was around 14. Was there something there, or was there something else going on? I mean, I think that's an old satellite.
I was on the phone. So I stopped and I was on the phone for like an hour because I had cell service up there. Okay, and I hung my phone up, and like everyone's just freaking out.
So there was not a big crack up there.
Well, so there was a big crack, like crevasse, Bergström, I don't know what you want to call it, like gaining the summit ridge. But I mean, temperatures were always in the negatives up there. And so everything was very solid. But, you know, there was no like end running any crevasses. It was just, you know, a bad time to take a break, I guess.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of run slides that I thought were in order to the top. If you want to talk about any of them, do it. I think there's a few questions mixed in, and I guarantee that you probably jumped down the mountain a few times. I just did. They're out of order.
all right, this looks like camp 1.
Yeah, like wait. Watch.
Nope, this is base camp.
You can see we're all so coordinated with our gear.
My favorite is, was that you, Geoff?
I think it was Sydney.
I think that
Sydney.
was probably me.
And I love somebody in the background says this was a bad idea.
Oh, I don't think we can hear the audio on the videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
can't.
horrible. That's horrible. Okay, so you're on the plane. We're going to the
on the
top.
plane. Yep.
Yay, plane. Is that base camp?
That looks like camp
No,
1.
that's
camp
between
one.
like base camp
Yeah.
and one.
So now we're at camp 1.
Yep.
Yeah, so day 1 is like 7 miles. You lose 600 feet, and then you gain 1,000 feet. So you ski for like 6 hours and barely make any actual progress.
Wow.
But the views are incredible.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God, it's
you can see it.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's at 11 camp. Also 11. The sunsets were phenomenal. It looked like this for like 4 hours.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
crazy.
I can't see my question. Was there a boot pack? Was it busy? The plane video made it look like tons of people around the mountain. Was there
yes.
traffic jams?
Yes, it was busy. Yes, there was a boot pack. Yes, there were a lot of teams on the mountain. I'd say the only place we really got traffic was the day we were descending from 17 back to 14. That was a little rough.
Well, and we consistently said too, like any other mountain in the Cascades, you'd kind of get annoyed with crowds. This is the one mountain where like it's actually very calming and reassuring to see so many other people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like very okay with crowds on this mountain.
Mhm.
Which is not typical.
Yeah. I mean, I pictured the plane taken away and you're alone, you know, and then I saw the plane land and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people out there. So you guys all made it to the edge of the world.
Yep.
I think, is that Sydney?
That's Tami.
Oh, that's Tami. Okay, so Tammy's up there and she says, I'm on the edge of the world. Can't hear the audio. That really sucks.
No, it's a good thing you're not playing that audio.
Tammy, you are hilarious, by the way. Your stuff is hilarious. So the only reason I put this in here is it must have been a pretty awesome spot because you guys took like 9,000 pictures here. It was like, I mean, big.
It was.
Yeah. So here's the edge of the world, everyone.
Yeah, what you can't see is like the 7,000-foot drop is right on the backside of that rock.
And I there's a picture coming up and it might not be the edge of the world, but was that 14 camp below?
Yeah.
No, that
Oh,
was
that's
like the left side of Edge of the World. Yeah.
So okay. So anyway, yeah, just seeing the camp way the heck down there. It's like that's a drop. All right.
Oh, yeah,
Almost
that was the ridge going to 17 camp when you could see 14 from the ridge.
There
Yeah,
it is.
Yep.
okay.
That's the 17 edge of the world.
So was there a camp between there and where this is?
No,
Wow.
nope.
Incredible.
That's all one day.
3,000.
It was
Yeah.
a long day too.
And you're carrying a very heavy pack.
Yeah. Wow. Really bummed you cannot hear the audio. Fixed line travel. How was it?
Ooh.
Any frustrations? Was there a learning curve?
I don't know. This was
Um,
frustrating. I mean, for me, I am not scared of heights, but that first attempt on the fixed lines, I mean, like Geoff and I were talking about ice climbing, and then I went on that and he was like, yeah, if you don't like that, you're not gonna like ice climbing, because I was really scared on the first fixed line.
That's serious blue ice. I mean, it's looking kind of slippy there. Okay. fixed
Well,
line.
the first time we went up it was like the iciest it was, because then it started to be more snow consistency every other time that we went up. So the first time we went up, it was like the bluest ice I've ever seen.
Yeah. Do you see the two differences? There's ice.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
snow. It's like, wow, that is way different.
Yep.
And look how long those lines are. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think they're probably about 800 feet. So you're getting on the line, you're passing anchors, you're doing stuff. We definitely, they say don't hang on the ropes at all because it'll bother other teams. But when we went up, there weren't other teams up there. So I will freely admit I hangdogged that rope all day long. It was great. And it did help a lot. But we hadn't really had a chance to practice like using our ascenders or clipping and unclipping or doing that sort of thing. So there was definitely a learning curve. The second time up the lines was much smoother, much more efficient, and much more comfortable than the first time.
Cool. I tried to look at the whole climb and figure out what I thought was the scariest. I don't know what this ridge is called. Most of my friends know that when I say doom, that means scary but fun.
Yep.
So-
This is the actual West Buttress
Okay.
that we are on here. Yep.
And some of these probably will be Archdeacon's Tower instead. I think.
Probably, I don't think any of us got pictures from up there.
What's that? What's that right there?
That's Washburn's Thumb.
Okay, that's the ones that I was thinking of. So
Yep.
Washburn's Thumb. Okay. I love how one of these pictures you'll see the rope hanging off the right hand side, just like into oblivion.
Yeah.
This was actually, yeah, and that photo was actually jumping ahead to our first
Attempted.
attempt of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of order. I
But some of
tried.
these- I mean,
That's
that
the Summit Ridge.
we got so lucky. I mean, we got 3 perfect weeks of weather.
Yeah.
This was the weather every single day,
Wow.
which is unheard of on Denali.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they did it really fast, but not a lot of 0 days, just not a bunch. Yeah, that with the rope hanging off there.
Yep.
Don't go
Yeah,
right.
don't. Yeah.
Go that way.
If person A falls right, then you jump left.
Yep. There's that picture again. Camp way the
Thanks,
heck
Geoff.
down there. I've still got people joining right now. Football field?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Archdeacon's Tower on the right there. That's
Oh yeah.
rock
Okay.
feature in the snow.
Nice.
Okay. Da-da-da. Oh, it's stuck. It's supposed to move after
Uh-oh.
5 seconds.
Broke it.
Running belay? What are you doing
Yeah,
here?
running belay. A lot of the steeper portions of the Ridge of Doom had fixed protection, just pickets that had been hammered in. And there's not really a lot of snow accumulation up there because it's so windy. So the snow that does manage to stick is just ice that's been there for decades. And these pickets get hammered in and they just kind of stay there. So you clip and unclip a lot of this running protection as you move along the ridge as a team.
Go ahead.
And it's not extraordinarily steep terrain, but it's not extraordinarily steep, but you're carrying a heavy pack. It's a pretty substantial exposure, and you're at substantial altitude as well. So just the possibility of like even a stumble at that location could be really, really bad. And the snow is so hard in many cases, it would be very difficult to arrest a fall as a team. So
now you're on the summit. Hopefully all these pictures are summit pictures. Geoff, is your girlfriend in the group right now? In the Zoom? Is that a no?
She's in the other room, and this was actually the day after her birthday. So our first day on the summit attempt, I tried to call her as we were going up the ridge, but didn't get good enough service. And this day that I went up, my goal wasn't actually the summit. I was just trying to go up high enough until I got service. And then I just felt really good and kept going. And so that's how I ended up kind of on the summit a day before everybody else. But yeah, the whole goal was like, I need to call her. I told her I'd call her on her birthday. Like,
cool.
So,
did you
that's
propose?
kind of where this came from.
Did you propose yet?
No.
I mean, I was crying when you were on the summit. No, I thought you were gonna propose or something. Anyway, here's some more summit pictures.
I might have cried when you were on the.
No sound, right? You can't hear the sound.
It's
Yeah, I
almost a
can't-
bummer you can't hear the sound, because I think all three of us were like semi crying and out of breath.
yeah,
Who took this video? Do you know?
I think
I
Tami
took-
did.
That's
Yeah.
Tami.
It does look like a Tami because she always goes left then right and then back to left.
Yeah, they're always
around a
the
lot.
same.
And I couldn't tell what you were saying. You were very quiet. I'm the kind of person that gets to summit like summit. You were very quiet and calm, but you're probably
It was negative like 25 degrees.
Ooh. gnarly.
Yeah, we were all, I think, very focused on. It was just like, it was a big rush of emotions. Like it's been, 18 days or 17 days at that point. And so that video that Tami took on her GoPro of us getting to the top, like I was full on bawling, and I don't know if it was out of exhaustion and happiness and like, oh my God, I never have to walk uphill on this mountain again. Yeah, there was a lot of emotion that day. Like we were all really excited, but we were also really cold. And I think it was a lot more emotion than excitement.
yeah.
17 days. What was your total round trip?
21.
21 days. And you planned a maximum of 28?
Yeah.
Like that, about a month?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
so
We
that's
had a hard exit date of the 10th, and we 10th, yeah. And we got off the mountain on the 3rd.
So how does that work? You just get back to base camp and they radio?
Yeah.
Like, cool. That's pretty
Yep.
cool. All right, camp life.
We had the idea to get April, thank God, brought us a speaker. And so we had quite a few dance parties just to like keep ourselves occupied. Yeah, once we got to camp, I mean, I thought we would spend a lot more time like doing things. Turns out I just sleep a lot. So that was basically what we did on rest days and at camp was eat and sleep. That's it.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you sleep well on? Oh, someone had
And
something to say.
the occasional ski,
Oh yeah, we
Yes.
skied too.
There was some skiing.
skiing and cooking and talking to other teams and walking around and going to the poop crevasse.
That's coming.
Tammy's favorite part of the whole trip.
The poop
Oh,
crevasse.
man.
So did you guys sleep well on 0 days? I mean, was it hard to sleep with the sun up and
No.
everything? Or no, exhausted
Nope.
and tired. But what
Wasn't
about
that
you, April? My wife wanted to know if you slept well while they were gone.
No offense to any of the team members, but when I slept very hard.
No offense.
I was up from about 4 or 5 a.m. until whenever I got the last communication in from Nick or Mike.
Okay.
Mike and I talked very frequently, and whoever got the last communication from the team communicated to the other. Poof, done. Time to go to bed.
Wow.
I think sleeping too, I mean, at least I think Tami and I kind of figured this out towards the end is it gets so cold when the sun goes down that we actually kind of figured out we weren't really falling asleep until like 3 a.m., even though we were in our sleeping bags. So like when the sun peaked the ridge, then you kind of got some warmth and were able to sleep. But
Yeah.
Some more questions.
Quick question in there. So we actually did 3 tents, and they're all pictured right here on the slide. The blue tent that's Sydney's Black Diamond 2-person. I'm not sure what the model is. The red one is my Hilleberg, and then the pyramid one is a Black Diamond Mega Snow Mid 4-person tent that we used as our cook tent. And that was absolutely worth the 3 pounds of weight that we brought it. We were at or above 14,000 feet for 11 days.
Wow.
So basically 11 days at Mount Rainier Summit or higher.
Wow.
We spent 5 days, was it 5 days or 5 nights at 17 camp?
5 nights.
5 nights.
5 nights. And I think that sort of planning for that kind of slow movement was instrumental to the team's overall success. Because we did, May 30th made a summit attempt, and we had come up, we took a rest day, we made a summit attempt, we were unsuccessful, and we had room on the calendar, we had food, we had fuel, we were able to take a rest day and then go make another summit attempt. Whereas if we'd been just planning to just, speed run the thing and like go up summit and get the hell out, and we had brought supplies for that, we would have been screwed. We would have had to just basically turn around and walk home after all that. So like allowing ourselves the space to kind of take that time, acclimatize slowly. I think on the whole trip, we only had one real moment where anyone got hit with altitude issues, and that was on the day of our move to 14 camp. And that was, kind of rest, hydrate, refuel, and able to recover from that pretty quickly within an hour or so.
Awesome. Cell signal not at camp.
Nope.
Geoff
you
was
just got
the
it.
only one that seemed to have cell service.
Yeah, just on the backside of this ridge. So this is 17K camp. And then you go up the ridge, and on the backside of that is where I had cell service.
So just one day. By the way,
Yeah.
this was my favorite time lapse. By the way, this is incredible. Your weather time. Whoever took this, that's sweet.
There was
Gotcha.
also like the littlest bit of service right above the fixed lines, I think.
Oh, I never saw that. Nice.
Geoff, did you have data, or was it just voice?
No, I took a full video call, like Messenger, Facebook video call.
Verizon, or what's your who are you?
T-Mobile.
Oh, T-Mobile. What? That's
Yeah.
There
crazy.
was a rumor that there was supposed to be service at 14 camp.
It
And
wasn't true.
we're sadly
I
disappointed.
tried. I walked around the whole camp for probably a couple hours looking for it.
Yeah.
So you guys already kind of talked about the weather. I had some pretty decent weather. First of all, was below here horrible this day?
Yes. So
Okay.
if you talk to like Matt Z from PMR, they spent 3 days down there in the clouds waiting for the weather to clear. And then you
Wow.
walk 100 feet higher and it's just, blue skies.
Wow. I've never spent that long in the cold.
But is this an actual photo from,
Yeah.
this
Somebody
is one
took
of
that
ours?
picture. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is my little thermometer.
So Jeff's thermometer was a binary device. It only had 2 readings. It had -15 or it had 90. We never saw any number other than that. Basically, if you were in the sun, it was blazing hot as long as there was no wind. I think the actual air temperature, like at 14 camp, was probably 10 or 20 degrees during the day. But the intensity of the sun, like people are walking around like with no shirts on, just, absorbing sunlight.
Wow.
But the moment, this picture is right at, I'll call it sunset, where the sun dips behind the West Buttress Ridge. When the sun drops behind, to the right of that ridge, the temperature drops. It felt like 50 to 70 degrees in 5 minutes.
Wow.
It was just how incredibly binary it was absolutely incredible. And yeah, so like, and it just got incredibly cold. Or if the wind came up, all of a sudden you went from like a little too warm in your t-shirt to, Everest parkas.
Wow. Sorry for the distraction. I think my server
Nope.
just went down. Great. If you remove your gloves, were your hands in trouble?
I think
Just when the sun went down?
during the day, yeah, during the day, I mean, I think the rule is like you never go barehanded on an ice axe just in case you have to self-arrest. But I would say in regular thin liners, we were fine. If you had to remove during the day, like what Nick said, it was so warm that there was really no concern. I would say definitely at night, like if you had to go to the bathroom at night, like you were putting on those gloves as fast and as quickly as you could, because but I think the only time I personally felt that my hands were, I mean, I was going a little crazy, but felt like they were getting a little towards too cold for comfort was at 17 camp. Because I think there was when the temperatures hit -15-ish, -20.
Yeah, pretty sustained cold at that altitude. And like, same thing during the day, when the sun was out, if there was no wind whatsoever, it was warm and comfortable, but even the tiniest breath of wind and you were just instantly cold.
Wow. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite weather shot. That's pretty sweet.
That one.
Yeah, all the lenticulars coming in. And out.
I think this is base camp. I think
Wow.
either base camp or no, that's camp one, isn't
Well,
it?
camp one.
Camp one, yeah.
So I had a lot of questions about clothing. It's really sad you can't hear Tami. But she's talking about we're leaving camp right now, and then she ends this video with, "I look sick."
Yep.
So funny.
Yeah. Move days on the lower mountain, especially like between 7, 8, 9, 10,000 feet. Yeah, when the sun was out and you're climbing, it was just smoking hot, which is in contrast to this video.
Yeah, so there was kind of a joke about the picture of you guys looking all shirtless and whatever elevation you were, and that you lost strip poker, and then someone said, do the layers video. So they're talking about how many layers they're wearing in this video. She's just counting them out.
Yeah, this was we kind of got bored, but we're too cold to do
2,
anything. So we were like, let's play a game. How many
3,
layers are we wearing?
4.
She had 6.
5,
Tammy
6.
guessed right.
Tammy guessed 6.
Yeah, this is bored people in the cook tent.
It got really cold all of a sudden though, so you really had to.
8. Somebody guessed 8 layers.
Right.
Not as exciting without sound.
Yes, Sydney, are you glad you changed jackets?
I think, yeah, I'm
That
happy.
Sydney, you glad you changed jackets?
So I showed up with a parka. I think I would have been okay, actually, just because of the weather we had. I probably would have been fine in the one I bought.
Right.
I was still very happy that I had that new one.
Good,
So
good.
So there's a question
Hey,
about
Nick, I
socks.
didn't get a chance to ask you, did you use the large pickets, and where'd the murder spork end up going?
Nick ended up using the large pickets to put our tents in, but it got so cold that digging out that large picket on several occasions became like pulling Excalibur out of a rock.
I don't know if your
Wow.
Excalibur
Wow.
photo made the slide
I don't
deck
know if
here,
it did, but
yeah.
we do have a lot of like Excalibur type photos where we were trying to pull it out of the ice.
The large, the 36-inch pickets never got used except as really big tent stakes.
Right.
How
How about the
the murder
And the-
spork? Yeah, your big shovel made it to 14 camp. We used it. We cached that shovel each time we cached, and then we used it to dig itself and the rest of the cache out. So it was good for that. I think on future trips, I'm going to go with a more moderate, like lightweight but strong avalanche shovel.
There's
it?
a question about how many layers of socks. When you were, did you?
I think it varied by person. I know Tammy's, her boots were a little big, so she ended up wearing more. You ended up wearing a couple pairs of socks, didn't you?
Yeah, well, so it varied a lot, just like layers of clothing, because for layers of clothing, I'd either go from just a sun hoodie to like 6 or 7 layers of jackets pretty much. And then for socks on the lower mountain, and I was just wearing ski boots, I'd have a thin layer, like a thin pair of ski socks. But then for summit day, I had like a thick pair of ski socks, Mike's BBLs, which are vapor barrier liner socks, basically like a different material, almost plasticky, so that it wouldn't soak through to your other socks. And then over that liner, I had a thick mountaineering sock, as well as and actually the thick pair of ski socks underneath were heated for summit day. And then I had, my double layered mountaineering boots that were super warm, and over boots on top of that. So
A lot of foot.
Yeah.
And then Alex on the bottom, they had 4 layers in that video, they had 4 layers of pants on. Nose
Tammy,
muff.
I
Oh,
think
go
you
ahead.
had the most, layers most of the time. For myself, I was in this yellow sun hoodie for probably 90% of the trip. And then I would have a Patagonia Nano Puff that I would put on like if it got cold. And then if it got windy, I had a hard shell on top of that. And that 3-piece combo got me 90+% of the trip.
Wow.
So, and then in camp, the only time I ever wore my super warm parka was in camp. Like,
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
sitting in
ask
the cook
your
tent.
big giant feathered
my,
friends.
my Michelin Man parka. Yeah, like
was gonna ask
never once did I wear that while we were traveling.
I can imagine. Okay, nose muffs. Which one had the best? And did someone make one? There's a picture in here of someone that looks like they made one.
I don't know.
No?
I think we all had different ones. I didn't realize how important those nose covers were until we were descending, because unfortunately my glacier glasses broke on summit day on our way down. So I had to switch to my backup pair, which I hadn't tested with the nose cover. And so I actually had to spend 2 days without it, and getting down, I mean, I put on so much sunscreen and I was still burnt to a crisp.
Wow.
So those were really, really important.
So what's that? That's not someone making a nose muff. That's some
So
other
that
repair.
was
No,
Nick
that's
and
yeah. The corner of the cook tent got like the guy line got ripped out when we broke down from camp 1. So at 11 camp, I kind of had to sit there and sew up a new guy line for it, and
Wow.
we ended up doing a lot of equipment repair on the. Hey, there it is. We ended up doing a lot of equipment repair on the trip. So it was the repair kits. I've used my Leatherman more in those 3 weeks than I have in 10 years.
Wow.
It just there's Adam on a day hike.
That's, I mean, I take more of Rainier than that. I guess I had to be in there twice for some reason, because you're flexing there, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so this really sucks. You can't hear any of these videos. I do kind of want to play them because I'm a skier and this makes me really jealous. But Tami and Sydney and Nick, what did you think? Were the skis worth it? And how high did you get on them?
I think it's also kind of a morale thing. At least for me, like it's not like we were really skiing any of the important sections, but we used the skis to skin over to camp 1, so that was useful. Although you can do it on snowshoes. And then we brought them up, so from 11 up we carried them in the sleds, and because of the hills, like we didn't want to have to skin up these hills on a rope team as well, so we actually just carried them on the sleds. But it was really nice. We had them at 14 camp, and it was really nice to just go up for a ski on a rest day or whatever, to just get a different view or just get away from camp for a little bit and stretch the legs. So for me, I'll say that it was definitely worth it. Like I had my lightest pair of skis and boots and everything, so it wasn't that big of a weight problem, I guess.
Yeah, and I think they were great on the ascent. I think what shocked me more was the descent was a little miserable with skis, surprisingly enough. But that was mostly because of the sleds. I mean, I think Nick described when you went down from our cache on like from camp 1, the cache at the pass,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you were like, it's basically like doing a 2-hour wall sit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like trying, okay, so yeah, so from our first cache at 10,000 feet back down to camp at 7,700, Geoff and I, so Sydney and Tami just skied it. They
Was
with their
me when I
packs.
fell? Yeah, I think
Oh
so.
yeah, no, it was
Yep,
it was
yep.
I
Watch.
think I eat it. Ready?
Stuck and landing.
Oh, there it is.
And what's awesome is this next video is from the top. This is filming from the top, and you go off camera real
I
fast. and
fell
go-
on this one too.
Oh, I thought this was the same video, but from
No, two different videos.
Oh,
I fell twice.
okay. It's just so funny because on this video, I can hear Camp do the same kind of scream, and then I hear you go touchdown into the radio.
Yeah, this one actually was above 11. This was above 11.
11.
camp, and I went first, and I didn't secure my hat because I normally ski with a helmet, and I had just a baseball hat on, and my hat went flying off. I went to catch it, and I fell. And then I basically radioed Tami. I was like, Tami, my hat fell off. She's like, well, I'm not stopping to get it. Like, I'm going to get this line. I was like, okay.
that
Priorities.
that ice field's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the skiing, like, so skis versus snowshoes really, the skis introduce some logistical challenges of their own, like descending in a slow controlled manner on skis is kind of tough, especially if you've got a heavy backpack or if you've got a sled or if you have a mixed team. At one point, Geoff and I were on a rope, and I was on skis and he was on snowshoes, and Jeff's really fast on snowshoes, but he's not like as fast as skis. So I just had to do like a 3-mile snowplow to, for us to both get back down the mountain at the same rate. So it was, that was a little challenging, but then, to answer the question that popped up on the chat, like we skinned up as far as 11,000 camp. Everything below that was pretty low angle. From 11 camp up higher, we definitely did see some teams skinning up there, but that was boots and crampons for us above 11.
someone's on the call. I need to mute them. Hopefully I find them. I don't know who's taking a call.
Yeah,
Okay,
and speaking of skis too, I think that like I don't think I've ever like been in that much pain on skis. I mean, Tami is a trooper because she dealt with me, but we skied down. Nick and Geoff chose to boot down with the sleds from 11 to Ski Hill, and we were like, we're gonna ski it, it'll be great, and it was not. And I like actually got like, it was like pulling on my kidney, like to the point of pressure on my kidneys where like I almost passed out. It was incredibly painful. It was not something that I would recommend the way we did it. But weirdly enough, the ascent on skis was way better than the descent.
wow.
Yeah.
Frank wants to know if you had to have special skins, and did you guys use ski crampons? That's something I'd like to know.
Normal skins. I never used my ski crampons. I don't know if anyone else did.
I don't think neither Tami or I did either.
Did you bring them?
Yeah.
Did you bring them? Yeah. Alex wants to know if you ever got on each other's nerves, and I think I saw you guys pack Uno. I don't think you guys ever got to sit in the tents and stare at each other long enough to want to kill each other. Yeah, Alex, I think probably if they had some weather, they probably would have.
Yeah,
and especially if I was there, they would have pissed at me.
We would have got you your own tent.
You should. So I really wanted. Oh, go ahead.
We had. I felt that we had really incredible team dynamics, just in terms of both like getting along for 3 weeks straight, sitting in a 4-foot square tent, and kind of like almost unspoken mutual sharing of responsibilities. Like everyone just sort of fell into roles and strengths and things that they were good at, and like we didn't have to like, okay, you do this and you do this and you do this. Like it just really organically happened, and everyone kind of picked up and did their share of the work, and it was pretty fantastic. And whether that meant Tami cooking dinner, or if it meant Geoff digging out a toilet and making snow walls again, or me getting up early to boil water, or like there was just this like sharing of responsibilities happened very naturally, and it was some of the best team dynamics I've ever gotten to be a part of, and that it just really clicked immediately and sustained itself for almost pretty much the entire trip. I couldn't have hoped for a better situation, on that aspect. So
Yeah, you look like you're having fun. I mean, you definitely look like you had a lot of fun. Gear, you guys didn't have a lot of gear pictures except for early in the beginning. I am most curious about the solar panel to keep you going. And then, I mean, did you guys ever lose all your electricity, your electronics down? I mean, probably not because you had sun the whole time. How did you like that setup? Because I want to get something like that.
This setup, so Geoff, you had the same setup that I did essentially, right?
Yep. Yeah. Same
Yeah.
panel, just different batteries.
Yep. So we both had pretty good luck with these. It's like a 21 watt Anchor foldable solar panel. It's got a couple of USB ports on it. We were able to use this to either charge batteries, charge battery packs, or charge devices. The Goal Zero ones seem to be a little more finicky about what they would or would not charge. Obviously everything's super temperature sensitive, so you have to like either warm it up or wait until it can sit in the sun before it charges and works. Yeah.
What size battery packs and how many?
So that was actually kind of the surprising thing, is that we, unfortunately, like the solar panels come with a battery pack, but at least and I think Tami eventually ran into this problem, is actually the battery pack stopped charging, but the solar panels were working. So we ended up plugging stuff directly into the solar panel, at least the Goal Zero ones, directly into the solar panel, and that worked. So honestly, I think I would almost skip the battery pack next time and just bring a like multi-prong adapter for a USB and just plug directly into the solar panel, because the battery packs just kept freezing.
I didn't have any problems at all with my battery pack. It charged up and I could use it overnight to charge other devices.
What size was it? Do you know?
The 26, I don't know. It's an Anchor. It's whatever the maximum size you're allowed to bring on an airplane is.
Oh, there's a set maximum size. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Amazon sells them for $70 or something. So
Yeah, and I had something similar. I had like a 20,000 milliamp hour and a 10,000 milliamp hour, and I had no issues charging them. But I would point out that like your phone won't charge when it gets super cold. So like if you want to charge stuff at night, like it has to be in the sleeping bag with you, or it just straight up won't charge.
Oh my God.
So yeah, what happened in this picture?
I'm still like finding feathers.
What happened? Just unzip?
Yeah,
We
so
all are.
this was like day 2 of Denali, which was a great way to start things out. And as I mentioned, like I slept with a big fluffy eye mask, so I didn't know, I couldn't see anything, and I was sneezing all night, and I'm like, why am I having allergies on a mountain? Like this is not supposed to happen. And I literally slept through the whole night, and I wake up and Tami and I are just encased in a cloud of feathers. Somehow in the middle of the night, my sleeping bag, about 14 inches of the zipper tape busted open, and there were feathers everywhere, and I just couldn't move, and all I could say was like, Nick, had to have him come in and basically like hold it together so I could get out of the bag. So my -40 turned into like a -34. Day 2, yeah, that was not a fun gear failure, one I was not expecting.
So what worked and what didn't, other than the battery packs? Any discoveries you guys made, anything you want to share with us?
Nick has a list of things.
Oh man, yeah. I've got a whole page of my notebook is just dedicated to things that broke. Let's see. So this setup here, oh, I'm glad that picture came out. This setup here with a big like 3-gallon pot that we found at the consignment store, 12 hours before flying to the mountain, was amazing, because we were able to make water, like 3 or 4 bottles of water for each person on the entire team, and the whole thing, it took an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Wow.
So this stove board double MSR whisper light thing that we've got going on here was like, it was the envy of the whole camp, because we could have 2, like Tami could have 2 pots going at the same time to cook stuff, or we could do this with a giant pot on top of it and make gallons of water in an amazingly fast amount of time. And other teams that we talked to were like, Hey, I spent 7 hours today melting snow, and I was like, I spent 90 minutes, and 4 people each have more water than they can drink.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
this
Yeah, I
worked
mean-
really, really well.
I mean, that's the worst part. You just sit there and do it for hours and hours, you know, so that's awesome. Shortcut.
Yeah.
Anything stand out as horrible, something you would never bring ever again? Any brand names you want to throw out there?
I brought in, well, I mean, Mountain Hardware sleeping bags clearly are not recommended. I mean, going back to the electronics thing, like I would say I brought up probably 6 or 7 pounds of electronics, like Kindle, GoPro, chargers. I used my phone. That was it. I just hauled up a bunch of electronics that ended up freezing. So
Hey, really quick to the crowd too that's watching. If you want to ask a question, type it in the chat or unmute and ask, then remute yourself. These are all pre-sent questions that we had. A ton of people want to know about cost. I bet it's. I mean, that's kind of a hard question because you have some of the gear already. But
yeah, it's
10
a
grand?
hard one because we actually talked about this quite a bit on the mountain as we were saying how we saw a lot of guided groups and we were thinking about how much each of us spent and then realizing that like a guide would have been another 10 grand on top of it. I think we we're just trying to make ourselves feel better. Yeah, I mean, it depends. I know like Tami had to make a pretty big investment into gear on the mountaineering side. I think we all stopped counting credit card bills at one point.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's the $400 permit fee. So that was like one of them. And then I'm pretty sure the K2 flight was like
That was pretty significant.
800 per person or so.
600 something, but yeah, same.
600
Yeah, in that ballpark.
Well, and
Somewhere
like
in there.
little things like the gear, like Nick was saying, when you land in Anchorage and like I have a very puffy, at least what I think, like a Rainier parka. And in my head, I was like, yeah, it's a parka. Parka's a parka. And when we were at the Airbnb in Anchorage, I had like 4 of people looking at me going, yeah, that's not gonna work. So like I ended up dropping $500 on a new parka because I'm like, well, I don't want to freeze. So it's like the cost just kind of sporadically. I'm never gonna need to shop for mountaineering gear again.
yeah, I mean, the cool part is you own the gear now and you don't have to rent it. You know, I mean, I was making investments in some of that stuff and going, holy cow, you know, but wow, why is my sleeping bag $1,400? You know, it's like crap. I'm just gonna let the Midnight Sun stuff play. I just, it fascinates me. I think that I don't know, it's beautiful. It's like I would love to have a 4-hour sunset. If you want to talk about it anymore, you can, but I think Tami already said, or not, no, Sydney already said the fluffy eye mask was perfect. Bring the fluffy eye mask. Yeah. So I don't know, but it looked beautiful. I don't know why they're not going anymore, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had a bunch of things like, you know, being able to adjust ski bindings, or after we taped up Sydney's sleeping bag, we had to sew it up, or the corner of my tent blew out, the pyramid tent, like when I had to put a new corner on it. Tammy's whippet had like a broken piece and we had to kind of rebuild that to make it be meaningful.
Oh,
I wish I had the video. I don't know what happened to the video, but there's a video and I thought I put it in here, but I might have been drunk while making this. And there's people like in camp that are like, oh my God, they're coming up and they're taking like one goldfish cracker. Anyway, I thought it was cute.
Yep.
And then all these people like, oh my God, they have food.
So one of the funny things is like some of the last minute purchases and last minute repairs we were still doing in the Airbnb. Like Nick mentioned the whippet that he fixed, and he was also making these adjustments to our harnesses to create this butt flap for Sydney and I, so that we could actually use our harnesses, like wearing them, but still like go to the bathroom by wearing them. And he did this makeshift buckle so that they would work for us at the Airbnb like the day before we're leaving. So that was really funny. And then also I'm looking around at everyone's harnesses. I'm like, oh, what's this big, you know, black looking thing like on your harness? And they're like, oh, that's the Ascender. Where's yours? And I was like, oh, have those. Do I need one? And so we went to the store and got the big ascenders for the fixed lines because I didn't have one.
Favorite food at elevation?
Oh man, so
Nothing.
that squeezable strawberry spread right there that's upside down. I don't know what artificial corn syrup chemical plant like trash that's made out of, but at 20 degrees below zero, that you can still spread that shit on a tortilla, and it's amazing. Everything else froze solid. Peanut butter can't spread it. Cream cheese can't spread it. Wild Turkey 101 probably frozen. That strawberry goop
Never froze.
never froze.
A
Those are
lot of
giant.
those condiments didn't even get eaten because they were at base camp cached away for the
Yeah.
burgers.
Let's see. We should have brought more hot sauce. We brought too much.
Yeah.
Olive oil freezes at a low enough temperature. That was a discovery.
And apparently bacon has multi-uses, like
Bacon has multi uses.
I would literally bring I'd recommend anyone who's like going to Denali, like bring an extra Tupperware and a ton of bacon, and there's
Bring
your
bacon.
cooking oil for the entire trip.
Hell yeah. Also, it's really hard to eat trail mix with mittens on. We brought like 3 gallons of trail mix and we ate almost none of it.
That's
So-
when we did D right, you said all I'm bringing is a 5-gallon bucket of trail mix. And then I remember posting that at one point to the group, and Cindy
Yeah.
was like, thank God I'm in charge or something. Or
Yeah,
maybe,
no,
maybe you said that.
made 5 gallons of trail mix at the Airbnb. I would say the chocolate to nut ratio was significantly leaning on the chocolate side, but
Perfect.
I mean,
Yeah,
Tami and I would say we were like looking at our bags. We're like, we've eaten half a Ziploc bag of trail mix and we have 5 bags each.
Yeah.
We had way too many snacks. That's
So many snacks.
way too many.
You know, I really love this new Zoom feature that makes me draw all over my screen.
Right?
I don't know what, it's stupid.
Is that what's going on there? Yeah. So this is, Tammy's cooking with the double stove setup. I
Yeah.
don't know what this meal is, but it was probably amazing.
The other thing that I let go past was there's another double cooking, and then
Mhm.
your big giant pot too. There you
Yeah.
go. That was the
that
make
was
water
that was the
fast.
ticket right there.
And we found
Um,
the consignment shop in Anchorage. Like that wasn't even part of the plan.
Random last minute thing. So we're going to talk about your favorite topic really quick here.
Poop bucket.
Coming.
Oh, Tami, you got this one.
Okay, and then the other thing is there's also the poop crevasse. Where's the poop crevasse?
So that was at Camp 14. It was I'd say a short walk away, maybe a 7-minute walk. Ideally roped up to this huge crevasse, very deep crevasse. And you'd basically, rope up, walk to the edge of it with, however many bags you've accumulated at that point, and you toss it in. But the problem is on the edge, people had a really hard time throwing it in, and there were like exploded bags everywhere. And so I assume the Rangers just clean that up pretty regularly, but
Kieran wants to know if you had to use preheating paste on your stoves.
Use what?
Preheating paste on your stoves at elevation.
Oh, no, you just use the gas.
Then-
You pump it up, you crack the valve, you let the little cup fill up with fuel, and then you light that and then let it burn until it almost goes out, and then you turn the main stove back on.
I hope none of you are eating, but people need to aim better.
This is what we had to stare at for 3 weeks.
Like I'd build my own. I'd be like, gross.
That's a lot of work. To answer the question that came up on screen, the NPS issued us 5 CMC cans. Each one's like slightly smaller than a 5-gallon bucket. You don't like each get one. You're not using 4 of them at once. You use 1 can, you set it in your little bathroom thing, and then everybody uses it until the bag's full. And then you tie the bag off, put it somewhere cold, and then use another bag. But you have to there's only 2 places that those bags can go. One is in the crevasse at 14K. The other is at the ranger station in Talkeetna. So either you carry it all the way up with you or you carry it all the way down with you. We chose to bring everything up, and then we tossed them all in the crack at 14. We made 2 trips out there, and but you really only use one at a time. And fun fact, at -5 degrees Fahrenheit, a bucket full of shit still smells like a bucket full of shit. It never gets cold enough that it doesn't stink like poo. So that's
we're kind of getting towards the end. That was probably 250 pictures already.
Mm.
Kyle wanted to know, what's the one thing you learned on Denali that you will apply to all your climbs going forward?
Never do Denali again.
Oh no, I need you guys. Somebody, at least 2 of you say yes. Come on. That was my biggest fear. I'm like, they're not gonna ever want to go again.
They won't go again.
I think if anything, like any bag, any day, nothing will seem as hard or as long as something on Denali. Like it's always going to be kind of our bar. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like we got so lucky with weather. I mean, when Nick and Tami and I had our little adventure on Mount Hood to prep for Denali, the fact
I
that
remember that.
the fact that that was our worst day of the entire expedition was on Mount Hood.
That was a gross trip.
It was horrible. And I think, but if we, you know, if I do run into a day like that again, I kind of think like it's just, it set the bar a lot higher for what our bodies and our minds could do. So going forward,
I think knowing that, like, just sort of ratcheting up that mental awareness, knowing that you can sort of endure and adapt to really adverse conditions over a long period of time. You know, like it's okay to, you go out there and you're just like, I'm going to be cold and I'm going to be sleeping in this tent and I'm going to be shitting in this bucket for the next 3 weeks. Like now anything that happens in the Cascades seems way less intimidating. You know, there's, I think kind of just having that big experience is going to make local stuff feel less intimidating.
Did you see Frank's question? You can never be able to climb south again without laughing.
Yeah, I did it on Sunday.
Okay, yeah, you did on Sunday. Who has plans for something like K2 or Everest? Any of you guys? Not on my list. Do any of you guys want to do Everest or K2?
Everest is not really on my list.
no, but Mike and I were talking about, we do have, I think a couple of us have plans for bigger mountains that aren't traffic jams. Tami is originally from Argentina, and so we talked about, I think the entire time we were up there, going to Aconcagua and doing that, which would be really cool. And I know Mike, I'm trying to get Mike to do Ama de Blanc, get him to heal up and do that in the Himalaya. So there's other mountains out there besides that we want to do besides those crazy ones.
Favorite, least favorite parts? I think we kind of went through it. Poop buckets and food. And do you guys have anything you want to add? Oh wait, really quick.
Were those favorites or not? Or were least favorites?
Both. Really quick, this video that went by with no sound. The girls were like, "Yay, we get to go home!" But then at the end of it, they're like, it was just kind of an emotional thing. It's like, it's over, yay, but this is also depressing.
Like, yay, but
yeah, now I have to go deal with real life.
Well, we were all drunk in that video, that's why.
Yes.
All right, so you guys want to comment, favorite, least favorite? Skip it.
I think my single least favorite part of that trip was the descent with sleds from 14 to 11. I think if I had to call one low point of the trip, and I think our team morale was probably the lowest during that, like 4 or 5 hours. We were physically in pain. We were mentally just exhausted from fighting the sleds. We were out there for 3 weeks and we bickered precisely once, and it was during that descent. And it was just like, I think that was kind of a low point for us. And it was on the way out. Nice.
You'll get my question.
I didn't find any frozen lakes.
And that's
You wouldn't have jumped in if you
I mean, not up on the mountain, but if we found anything good in Anchorage, I would have.
By the way, you can tell my questions always because they all have typos.
Yes.
Okay.
We did all lose weight. The Denali diet is real. You can eat anything you want as long as you've carried it on your back for 3 weeks and done 8 hours of hard cardio every day.
Who lost the most?
I think I did. I had the most to lose, so that was easy.
Your head looks way smaller.
Thank you.
And I mean, you'll see a picture of Geoff. I mean, Geoff looked way different to me. I've never hung out.
Jeff's face fell off. Like,
Yeah,
that was.
I got just cooked by the sun. It didn't matter how much sunscreen I put on. Like, there's just no winning.
it looks like kind of your first. Look at Nick's head. It's actually tall and pointy. Wait, look at that. I think it's the camera.
I think it's the 0.5. It's the 0.5 zoom.
That's the wide lens.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Tacos.
Carb
JoJo's.
overload.
Nachos and beer. So good.
For
that
a
would
week
be-
straight, we just ate greasy food.
Yeah, I mean, mine would be. Yeah, look at Geoff. That doesn't look like Geoff to me at all. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
my
just
lips
looks
got
so
so messed
different.
up during the trip. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't matter how much chapstick I put on, it would just
Yeah,
freeze.
your lips got real bad.
Mine
So
are
it took like, I don't know, probably 2 weeks after getting off the mountain before like my lips actually healed. They were just like open wounds the entire time.
Mm.
Anything you guys would do differently? I think we've kind of hit that. Some of these are kind of repetitive, but any things you would have done differently. I liked April's comment on that. It was actually the question was anything you forgot or you take, and yeah, April's wife. So April, what was it like seeing him for the first time?
All the emotions. When we saw each other at baggage claim here at Redmond, it was like I just wanted to jump into his arms, and we hugged and just would not let go.
Yeah.
And I might have cried some happy tears.
All his fingers and toes are still there.
Yeah, all of it there.
I
I
like
did,
people from the tattoo shop being like, "This is happening."
Yep.
You guys all look different.
I did get a little bit of frost nip on a couple of fingers. So these 3 are still a little tingly. They're coming back, but fortunately, my glove system that has never worked well. One of them blew away. The Black Hawk helicopter downwash from our rescue last Sunday blew my gloves away. So now I get to go get new gloves.
So yeah, your tattoos are cool. I'm too much of a wuss. Like as you were coming out, were you guys daydreaming about food? I haven't done a lot. I don't think I've done anything more than 10 days, but I remember doing. I don't know if it was Wonderland or around the Three Sisters, and it's like I was going down the trail and I was like pizza, like day 9, and this girl comes by and she's like root beer floats, and I'm like, oh my god, and ice cream. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
I think this, what is pictured here, may have actually been our first real food after we got off the mountain.
Yeah, it was. I remember that beer flight wrecked me because we hadn't had like a ton of real food in like 3 days.
So anyway, looks good. When you got back, sound like you guys all had a lot of fun. We were supposed to do Rainier. You guys are lucky you bailed. That weather was stupid.
Yeah.
But it would freak me out to be gone that long. I mean, like, did you have business? I mean, I was talking to Geoff earlier, and he was like, there was a lot to do when I got back.
Yeah.
I got back from work, and they're kind of like, yeah, we kind of like, you've been gone, so we've kind of done everything.
Nice.
It was more the dog. I think it was leaving my dog for that long. I know Tami, like, we talked about our dogs, I think, like every single day in the tent.
I think every single day.
Every day, all we talked about was our dogs. Yeah, it was definitely hard. I mean, thank God for the satellite texts at least, because I mean, I haven't been away for that long, and like I was up with my boyfriend every single day. Like, it's really hard to be away from people that you love for that long, but it was the fastest, slowest 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well said. This is our last slide, and I just want to thank April and Mike especially. I mean, to be able to follow along, and I know, like, I remember at one point I put out a post, and April's like, dude, you just caused like 500 text messages to me. She's like, don't do that again. I'm like, okay. You know, I can't remember. I think it was when Geoff took the phone call. I think that's what it was. I can't remember what it was, but
No, it was when the team stopped and they turned around.
Okay.
They had paused for a really long time, or at least that's what it looked like on the map. And the barrage of questions I got as to why they stopped was absolutely crazy. And then you put out a post, Adam, that just exploded.
I am
For
not
me.
an official admin for the climb. Yeah, I put out a post and then she's like, take it down. I'm like, I will.
Well, let me tell you, your post instigated several messages from Geoff's. Now, Geoff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's your sister. I want to say her name's Justine.
Yeah, my
I don't-
youngest sister.
Okay, I couldn't quite remember her name. However, she messaged me immediately with, "Is everything okay?" And then we created a dialogue. Then she actually told me why she was messaging. Your mother was concerned, and then that created a whole nother.
Yeah, my mom was like, I had a panic attack when you stopped moving. I was like,
Yes, and then several other people did too. And so I had to do damage control from everything. And then I also, in the middle of all of that, had to double check with Mike as to, hey, what's really happening? You know, I know everything's okay. And then he and I had our own dialogue about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the field of questions and concerns that I got from not only Geoff, your family, but also friends from the climbing community, from people who are not climbers that were watching, wanting to know if everything was okay. And so, so yeah, it was pretty hectic at that time, but Mike and I were able to smooth everything out, not only on the MST page, but also on the general Facebook land.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, anyway, I'm sorry about that.
no worries.
I was super excited. And then Mike,
I figured you were.
Mike, this last question is directed to you. I don't know. I think you're still in the group, but you've seen a lot of crews, did a bunch of stuff in the Himalayas. How did this one compare? Is he still there?
Yeah, this is an expedition, so this is definitely a little bit different than the guiding that I did. We had yaks, and I hired Sherpas and porters, so dragging a sled and shuffling your food about 10,000 times is not the way that we climb mountains in the Himalayas. So, did fantastic. But I knew that right from the beginning, though. I mean, I've climbed with Nick, and he has some great boots. I really loved his boots. Nick, I want those old boots, man.
Come get them. They're yours. I'll send them to you.
And Geoff, all right on, man. And Geoff, I've said it many times before that climbing with you, I've really enjoyed climbing with you, watching you grow, and definitely would trust my life with you, and will continue to do so, and look forward to growing this year as well. This has been a great team. I mean, logistics wise, real easy to work with, and planning the logistics a little bit different than trying to, to get Sherpas and porters lined up, and making sure we have enough yak teams and stuff like that. But I wish I went. I mean, I really do. But, like I said, I felt I would have been a liability to the team with my current condition right now. And hey, Sydney and Tami, I don't want to leave you guys out. Meeting you for the first time, absolutely amazing. Really enjoyed you. Sydney, you broke my wife's heart. She was really touched when, when you said, hey, can I be your daughter? And kidding around, of course, because we have two sons and she doesn't have a girl in the family. So that really meant a lot. So, and Tami playing the air guitar. One of the things my buddy Joseph said is, hey, whatever you do, you need to have somebody who's funny up there, because it's going to be a really long 3 weeks if you don't. And I had this sneaky suspicion that perhaps you were the one that probably had everybody laughing. I was just hoping that that is true. Please confirm that for me.
100%.
Yeah,
the
Tami was air guitar central. It was awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Well,
That's good. Yeah, that's what Joseph said. You really need to have somebody who's an entertainer on these trips. So yeah, what a great team. I think you guys did. Yeah, you did fabulous. Never a doubt. Really. So
Well, I
yeah, good
also,
job.
if you don't mind, Adam, I would also like to say something to the team, and Mike as well. Mike, it was an absolute pleasure working with you, with all the communications and leaning on you for knowledge. It was absolutely wonderful, and it was so good to know that I had someone more experienced to lean on to help educate me about certain circumstances that were happening. Geoff, Sydney, Tami, Nick, oh my gosh, I don't know how to even describe how humble I am to be a part of this expedition, and communicate for you guys, and be there for you guys, for anything off the mountain, all things off the mountain. You guys are just complete rock stars, warriors, and just strong as hell. Gosh, I hope to follow in your footsteps and hopefully climb with you at some point. Great job, and just well done. Well done. It was an all around pleasure.
you guys killed it.
Yeah.
Nick's shirt said finisher at the house. So I meant to say good job. Like, that's perfect. So anyway, congratulations, you guys. Hope to meet you too,
Yeah.
Sydney, someday.
Absolutely.
You other people, I know who you are. It was really great, you guys.
Hey,
Thanks for letting us do this.
April,
Go ahead, Mike.
again.
Uh-oh. Mike, we lost your audio.
Yeah, Mike's actually on.
Hey,
Surface of the
April,
Moon.
likewise, I enjoy working with
I can't tell.
you.
Yeah, you're not coming through, Mike. I'm sorry. Maybe type it into the chat. I don't know. Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I enjoy.
All right, I'm muting him. Oh, I think he muted. So he's on dial up, which is crazy. I just want to say thanks for letting us do this interview. I really appreciate it. It meant a lot to me. I think April was like, "Hey, we should interview them," and I was like, "Please," So I really appreciate it. Thanks for sending me your pictures, all 3,600 of them. I've already sold them to National Geographic, and I'm retiring. But
Perfect.
It was just, I mean, to go through those pictures. What was crazy is because they were out of order. So I went through all the pictures. I was deleting ones that I thought were duplicates and trying to keep them in order. And I just got drunk and I gave up. But it was weird because I got to see you guys all go to the mountain and come down because of the pictures taken with the phones, and then again on all the GoPros, and it was just it was soul crushing kind of. It's like, oh, I got watched twice. But anyway, congratulations, you guys.
We did have to climb the mountain twice, but not quite in that order. So
yeah. Oh yeah, how many times did you go? It looked like only two resupplies.
No, let's see. We put a cache at 10,000 feet. We put a cache at 13.5, and we put a cache at 16.2. So that's at least 3 big days that we had to double. And then we had to back carry. So there's another 3 days worth of additional travel. And I haven't actually added up like the total elevation gain. If you just measure from base camp to the summit, it's like 13,000 feet. But a lot of that, we probably had to do 8,000 to 10,000 feet of that more than once.
Well, and we did one section 3 times.
3 times.
We basically climbed a good portion from 14 to the base of the fixed lines and got turned around because every guided group was coming down being like, don't go over that ridge, you're going to get frostbite. So we also included that day. That hill, I think all of us were very ready to not have to do again.
It would be cool if you ever get those numbers. It'd be cool to see like the total distance.
I'll try and put that together and see what it adds up to.
It'd be cool. What Mike was trying to say, I'm going to read it in case anyone doesn't have their chat window open, but he said, April, likewise, awesome working with you as well. Great teamwork. And I believe we did a fantastic job of keeping everyone up to date. I think this was probably, keeping us up to date. It was awesome. You know, it was awesome seeing this live. It was really cool. You guys did a great job. Definitely. So thank you, everyone. Bye. I'm gonna go drink my beer now. I got to go home first.
Thanks
Jeff.
for putting it on, Adam. And
No problem.
everyone, Adam, thanks for having me as well.
No
And
problem.
thanks, Inbuck and April and
Thank you,
Mike.
everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.